shout. Tune in, feel the energy ignite. Rise and grind, take flight. Hey, feel the unity, the proud selected five.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Listen, if you're looking for Detroit Lions action all season long, you found the right place. It is here Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and sometimes earlier and sometimes later. But we're here and we're talking football 365 days a year on the Rockhound Detroit Lions main channel here, supporting the Rise and Grind Morning Show and the Off the Cuff podcast Tuesdays and Thursday nights, which we should be back in action tonight. And look forward to seeing you. I'll be back here in 15 seconds. We're going to kick off the day doing a little bit of a day 12 recap. We didn't do that yesterday. I want to talk about the quarterback 2 position here. It's a camp competition that I think Kyle Allen has taken the spot over. Someone sent me a lot of good information on Jared Goff and this Dan Orlovsky list. I'm not fully prepared to take it on today, but we'll see. I might give it a crack. Obviously, I think that he's smoking crack, because how do you leave Jared Goff out of the top 10 is crazy. I mean, even Patrick Mahomes, I think, was out of the top 10 in a lot of areas. So we're going to get into a lot of different topics today. We've got a lot of video to cover. We're going to dig into Manu, Kyle Allen. Like I said, I've got a Morris Norris update from a neurosurgeon, and we'll listen to what Dr. G has to say. And we'll be right back here about 15 seconds. We'll kick it all off. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Hey, can y'all hear me out there? Hey. Against all odds. 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 Against all odds.
Podcast. Shout out to Rockhound Detroit Lions, man. My pride.
All right, we're back. Attila the Hun, you got to clarify, 'cause I know you're not talking about me. I am the most least negative person out there. All right, we're good to roll. Eric is still off. He's got some major dental stuff going on. Sent him a message this morning. Wish him well. Probably looks like a squirrel right now with a mouth full of nuts. Pause, right? He's probably all swollen. Hopefully he'll be back tomorrow. We'll see. He was going to try today, but no rush, man. Like, just get healthy, right? Just be ready to roll. We got a long season in front of us. We haven't even started yet. It's just, the engine's just getting warmed up. It's been a long off season. I'm glad football's back. I do want to dive right into the Morris Norris injury. I think I want to start with that first, because it's just good to get that out of the way. And why is this being dumb? It's not good. Hold on. I thought I was ready to go. It's not even loading up now. I hate Facebook links. They never work. Try this again. Anyway, how's everybody's Tuesday morning going on? What you guys up to today? Outside of this? All right. I'm going to have to open up my email. It's a good report, but this report here by Dr. G, it's exactly what I was thinking was going on. So when I was watching it live, I said it looked like a neck injury or severe, very, very, very severe head trauma, being a concussion. And this doctor's explanation is really good. It's really thorough, and it really paints a good picture. There was some other video that came out probably yesterday where you can see the immediate effect before they brought the backboard on of Morris Norris. I'll try to throw that in today. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to find it fast enough because I didn't get it loaded up. But you can see him shaking on the ground, and that's because he was having a seizure. So it was more than just a head injury, right? Thankfully, it wasn't a broken neck. But the way that she explains it, it makes perfect sense. And now when we go back and look at the video from a different angle, which would be the end zone angle, you can see him shaking on the ground. His whole body was like going through convulsions. And that's the scary thought. So that's why they canceled this game. A lot of us didn't get to see, what was happening live. They kept going to commercial depending on what channel you were watching. They kept going to commercial. And we never saw that angle while we were live. That would have explained a lot. One sec. Now I've got to go to my authenticator. Yep, it's me. Goodness. Got to authenticate six different things just to get in. I don't know about you guys. You gotta trust your device like every single day that you sign in, because I do, and it's annoying. It's really annoying.
Safety.
All right, let's bring in this video by Dr. G. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to throw the thumb up real quick. I'll bring in Dr. G here just one sec. Almost done. All right, it's probably going to look a little bit funny, but it is what it is. And it's not breaking news. This thing's freaking out on me today. All right, here we go. So this is Dr. G. She's a neurosurgeon. Dr. Betsy Grunch. And Megan sent this to me, I don't know, 4 o'clock this morning or whenever it was. And I thought it was a really good breakdown. It explains everything. I'm going to try to blow it up a little bit as much as I can here. Maybe we'll just go to the other look. All right, here we go. Dr. G.
Maurice Norris suffered a scary head injury that ended the game. So let me break down the injury and what exactly happened on the field. Norris went in to tackle Falcons running back Nathan Carter, and his head struck Carter's knee, causing a hyperextension of his neck, and then he struck the turf and sustained what looked like seizure activity. And if we look at this footage, you can see that he is indeed having a seizure. So was it a neck injury or was it a head injury? The answer is actually both. Sudden hyperextension of the head and neck can cause momentary disruption of brain function. That can happen with a violent hit to the head or sudden hyperextension with an auto accident. It occurs within seconds of the injury. The likely mechanism of what happened here is something called an impact seizure. That's when someone sustained a blow to the front of the head and the neck suddenly hyperextends, causing the brain to hit the back of the skull. That mechanical force of the brain hitting the back of the skull will stretch and disrupt the neurons in the brain and will cause a sudden depolarization of the nerves. And basically they all fire at one time, causing the seizure. It's kind of like the brain short circuits all of a sudden. The key point is if a seizure happens after a sudden hyperextension of the neck, It's usually considered an impact seizure. And the good news is that long-term risk of epilepsy in this type of seizure is very low. It was released that he's doing okay in the hospital and sustained no major injury. With this being the first game of the preseason, I am proud of how the medical teams responded immediately.
All right, quick pause. So he had a neck injury and a concussion all at the same time, resulting in a seizure, immediate seizure. And if I understood what she was saying, like when the brain shook so violently within the skull and hit the skull, I mean, there's like no space in your brain. There's like a little thin layer of like water, I believe, between the actual brain and the skull. And that's what your brain is floating in. And so when these guys are playing football, that's why they call them like consistent car crashes throughout the game. Because even a 5 to 10 mile an hour car crash, you can have a head injury. You know, just your brain shaking a little bit. It is terrifying, Zachary. It is absolutely terrifying. And we have family members that have, you know, really have had really bad seizures, and that stuff's got to be scary too, right? And so what she also mentioned is the epileptic factor to this should be slim to none for, you know, sustained, you know, seizures for Morris Norris in the future, which that's great news, right? That means that this is just a short-term or short-acting symptom, and he was doing much better. I mean, almost immediately after the seizure probably stopped and he was getting some care in the hospital, whatever meds they gave him, I'm sure it helped calm him down. But the thing that she's trying to emphasize here is it was such a violent hit, you know, the speed of him lunging forward and the, you know, the running back coming at you, and it was the fact that it was a thigh, knee, leg, you know, kind of going into the side, you know, forward face mask, you know, of the helmet. It just shook him so violently that's what caused the major injury. That's why he stiffened up instantly and then started to shake, going into a seizure. So really, really violent stuff. Now you understand why this game had to be stopped. And I think that Dan Campbell and Raheem Norris did right by making sure that they didn't continue this. Let's continue this video. Here's a couple minutes left.
Immediately and stabilize this man to get him to the hospital. Now, they stabilized his cervical spine as well, because even though it was pretty apparent that he sustained a impact seizure by looking at the video, it's always important with anybody with a sudden hyperextension of the neck to protect the spine in case there was any other type of injury to the neck itself. Now, the good news is it was released that he's doing okay. He's moving his arms and legs and has sustained no reported spinal cord injury. And my best guess is that this was an impact seizure. I'm wishing him all the best in his recovery. Hats off to the Atlanta Falcons and the Detroit Lions medical team, who responded quickly and appropriately to this very scary injury. In last night's preseason, Detroit Lions versus
Pretty crazy stuff, right? Absolutely terrifying, to use Zachary Cleary's statement. Absolutely terrifying. And it makes you feel even that much more for Morris Norris. And I mean, and everybody that suffers an injury in the NFL, you never know the severity. And I don't want to diminish, you know, one injury from the next, but like Aiden Hutchinson's injury was severe, right? And that's because of, I mean, anytime you have a compound break to a leg, it's severe. And no injury is less severe than someone else's. But this was, I mean, potentially life-altering, more so than disfiguring, right? Or the potential that you might have a limp. This could have had some very tragic results for Morris Norris had it been a little bit worse. You know what they say, an inch to the left or the right, and I may not be here today. We don't know what an inch to the left or the right could have done for Morris Norris. And just like she said, man, hats off to the Atlanta Falcons medical team. Of course, all of the Lions trainers, they were extremely swift at getting out there and getting him immobilized. And as you could tell, when they first got up next to him, there's really not a whole lot you can do for a seizure today. They kind of had to let it play out. At least that's what it looked like, to kind of let it play out a little bit, monitor, start the stabilization process. But it's kind of hard to stabilize somebody when they're shaking like that. I would assume, and I'm not a professional doctor, right? I don't have a degree, that while someone's shaking in a seizure and you don't know if they have a neck injury, that probably makes it even that much more severe, right? him shaking like that could potentially cause, a vertebrae to finally crack and then sever the spinal cord. All sorts of weird stuff could have went down with this. Thankfully, it didn't. So big ups to Morris Norris, the medical team, the Detroit Lions, Atlanta Falcons, everybody involved, and the fans. Obviously, the outpouring of love and support for Morris Norris was huge, man. I'm just glad that he said he's going to be back. Kind of before we know it, he's going to be back. It'd be really interesting to see if he plays this year. If it were me, I'd probably take a year off. But I don't have the same fire as these guys do. I'm not playing for millions of dollars. Hell, what I'm doing, I do it for pretty much for free here anyway. So it's a different level to what these guys are doing. But, maybe have a little bit more respect for these guys. And that's the other reason why I wanted to do this. You guys could tell on Friday night I was a bit shook up and I was pissed off because the fans' outpouring of hate towards some of our players because they're injured is just the wrong message to send. That's not One Pride, man. That is not a Detroit Lions fan. I'm sorry. If you're going to take the route of trashing these guys every opportunity you get, you're not a Lions fan. Ain't no way, ain't no how you're part of the One Pride family. So it's time to grow up and start treating some people with respect. Unfortunately, it seems like this country is now in a position of where bullying, cyberbullying, internet bullying, all that stuff is okay today. And it's not, right? It's not. So treat these guys with some respect, man. They're doing all this obviously to make a, income for their family, to provide for themselves and maybe some future generations of their family. But it's a very violent sport. These guys could lose their life at any given moment. It's happened. The most tragic thing I ever saw was Mike Utley. And I was watching that game. So real tragic stuff, man. We'll move forward, though. I wanted to get that out of the way. And let's move into a little bit of a recap of the preseason 1 game and then day 12. Day 12 practice report by Tim Twentyman. We always bring in the Tim Twentyman report every week, every day that we have practice, and then every post game. I like to hear and see his observations. I respect the hell out of Tim Twentyman. I think he's one of the more clean, journalists out there. Obviously, he covers the team. He works for the Lions, but I still think he does journalism the right way. Someone last night in a comment thread, and I can't remember what thread I was in, but they said journalism is dead. And it is. And that's exactly why if you go back and watch some of the very first videos that I ever did, I said that. I said, part of this was, waking up after having, gone through cancer and something telling me it's time to do something different with your life. It's time to live your dreams. And eventually, hopefully, you can help other people along the way. That was my goal. But the more I dug into it, in the way that my personal feelings, I guess, reside with journalism, media, I'm not a journalist. I'm independent, right? I'm doing it, learning it all on my own. I haven't worked for a major, network. And you don't have to. Independent journalism is probably more important today. We don't have to drive any narratives. But that's one of the focus things that, part of my little focus group is let's do things that kind of bring journalism back. Let's promote the truth and the transparency and the honesty of the sport and what's really going on in the sport. There's very few that are doing it because they're so narrative driven. They don't like Jared Goff, so every chance they get, they're going to throw Jared Goff under the bus. That's not reporting. That's not journalism. That's just writing op-eds. That's all that is. Go do some fact finding. Tell us some things that we don't know. Tell us some things that are different. The Albert Breers of the world. Man, that dude writes some amazing stuff. The Mitch Albums. Oh my goodness. Who was Mike O'Hara? He was really good. That was the dying breed of journalism. I would love to be half as good as any of those guys. It's doubtful, but I'll do it my own way. And that way is hopefully the right way. And that's what I'm going to stick with. So that's why I'm here, man. A few different reasons, but that's one of the reasons why I'm here. So I'm going to run through Tim Twentyman's preseason outlook here. It's very similar, breakdown, I guess, to what we rolled through yesterday. But he starts off talking about Tyreek Williams and Tate Ratledge, where he said that the Detroit Lions' first 2 picks in this year's draft made their debut on Friday night. Williams played 4 series along the interior of the defensive front and showed his ability to push the pocket at times and play on the other side. Let me make sure that my phone is able to see messages today. Mods, make sure you use the right phone number. It starts with 269. If you don't have it, let me know, and I'll get it back to you. So anyway, Williams played 4 series along the interior of the defensive line. He showed his ability to push the pocket at times and play on the other side of the line of scrimmage, even though he didn't record a stat, which there's nothing wrong with that. Ratledge also played 4 series and got some good work in. His best play was the last play of the first quarter when he pancaked Morgan Fox to open a big hole for running back Craig Reynolds, which is a beautiful play. Reminiscent of Frank Ragnow. There's some plays that stick out. There's one against the Eagles. I forget who he pancaked, but in that inside zone scheme that the Lions run, Ragnow's had his fair share of pancakes out in that second level, driving some linebackers just into the dirt. And that Ratledge play was eerily reminiscent of a Frank Ragnow. So Ratledge only allowed 1 pressure all night, no sacks or anything. Hooker versus Allen. I believe that Allen has made a significant leap over Hendon Hooker right now. So the Lions are still trying to figure out who Jared Goff's backup's going to be. Who is it? Is it someone even on this team right now? He goes on to say that up to this point, neither Hendon Hooker or Kyle Allen had really separated themselves from the other, but Allen had the better performance on Friday night, and Allen came in the second quarter and led an 80-yard scoring drive on his first series and finished the game 7 of 8, 120 yards with 2 TDs, no turnovers, and a perfect passer rating, 158.3. So very, very good evening by Kyle Allen. Limited amount of plays that are being installed here. Very vanilla schemes. We haven't seen anything real explosive yet. Hendon Hooker was 7 of 10, which is not terrible. 70% completion rate. But he had a 75.8 rating, large part because he had a couple of fumbles. He had no touchdowns, no interceptions, but he did lose 2 fumbles. He added 27 rushing yards on 3 carries, which is good for a 9 average. Allen is a 7-year vet who's played a lot of football in this league and showed that on Friday night. I think it's very telling when a guy has that much experience, how he can command a huddle and how he can just kind of blend right in with the situation. And I think he's doing an excellent job so far. I'm going to go back and say something that I think a lot of us have come to realize and have already said. Now, when you go back and look at the Hall of Fame game, how much different do you feel? Right? That shouldn't be a comparison at all. At all. The Hall of Fame game was a joke. And so when I see people like Colin Cowherd or all of these other Lions fans, it's like, oh my God, we're in trouble. No, we're not. The Hall of Fame game was a joke. It was a glorified practice. They didn't prepare for it. They just went through some guys in some situations to see if they'd sink or swim. That's really what it was all about. It's a little bit more than that, but you get what I'm saying. So now that we've seen our first preseason game and kind of where this is going, it's going to ramp up again before this Saturday's game. I'm expecting to see a little bit more on Saturday's game, and I think that we should see a different level of play out of these guys. Now, Tim goes on to say that Isaac Tesla recorded his first NFL touchdown on a nice pass from Allen in the corner of the end zone. Beautiful play. I love that throw. That is exactly, like I said yesterday, what I've been looking for out of this offense for the last few seasons is getting these corner routes, these posts, these fades, get into the end zone from 25 yards out. Stop trying to jam the ball down their throat get to the 5, and then punch it in. It is a lot harder to throw the football under the 10-yard line. It is extremely difficult. Your field narrows quite a bit, and defenses can get wide on you. And that really, really tightens up your scope. Tisla went up over a defender on this play, snagged the ball away from his body before tucking it in. What I will tell you is that play, I wanted to say this yesterday, but the way that he reached up and over that defender, he didn't just catch the ball here like a lot of players do. He reached out almost full extension with his hands and caught that ball 2 feet away from his body. And it was up, over, and behind the defender. The defender had no chance. Had he let that ball come into his chest, different story. That ball's probably swatted away. The defender was in a good position, just not good enough to be able to defend someone that catches with his hands. Then he talks about the edge rush. This is a very quick one for Tim. He says, it was good to see the Lions generate some pressure from the edge early. Edge rusher veteran El-Qudim Muhammad was right in the middle of it. He nearly got a sack on the second play of the game and then got to the Falcons quarterback Easton Stick 2 plays later. He finished with 2 tackles, a sack, a tackle for a loss, and a quarterback hit. That's a great game in a limited play. Nate Lynn was looking good. He said Nate Lynn also had a sack versus Atlanta. He's had a nice camp so far and leads the Lions with 7 pressures in 2 preseason games. Chris Smith looked good. Nate Lynn looked good. Our depth looks great. What we're going to hear from Manu in a minute, it's going to make you smile this morning. And I'll explain why once we pull it in. I got to say, man, I've never had a Tervis cup. And I got this one from Lion Supply. And there's a difference when you can actually drink something and it doesn't go like all over the rim of the cup, which happens quite a bit with Yeti. This, the way they designed it, it just, I don't know, just pours perfectly, I guess. Works good. All right, let's see what you guys got to say about Tim's thing here. Not much, probably. All right, so we'll pack that in. Preseason game number 1 is done and over with. Let's get into day 12. Practice number 12. Again, we always bring in Tim Twentyman to take a look at what he wrote. Not being at that camp, I don't have any specific notes. And that's why we go to Tim. Starts off August 11th. So yesterday, O-line versus D-line. So he wrote this yesterday. This was Sunday's practice. So O-line versus D-line. He said he had the privilege of watching the offensive line and the defensive line drills with the Lions' all-time great tackle Lomas Brown at practice on Monday. It was Monday. It was really interesting. Yeah, it was yesterday. Excuse me. It was really interesting listening to Brown on all of the little intricacies of the offensive line play. I had Brown decide the winner of every rep, offense or defense, and the final tally came out to 18 wins for the defense and 17 for the offense. So it seems like things are starting to tighten up a little bit, in practice. Whereas maybe the defense would have been, 20-10 a week ago. It's really starting to close up a little bit. The offense is starting to gain an edge. Here's some of the highlights that he noted. Obviously, Penei Sewell, Tate Ratledge, Graham Glasgow, Christian Mahogany, and Taylor Decker are starting 5 on the offensive line. Began the period with 5 straight wins for the offense. That's huge. So remember all of the doom and gloom. Remember all the guys and talking heads from a couple of weeks ago saying our offense is in trouble. Oh my God, we don't have Ben Johnson anymore. The transition with Morton, it's not working out. Oh my God, it's everything's raining down. No, it's called practice. It's early. You can't forget we're starting a couple of weeks early here. Right now is where things start to look a little bit different, like they do every year. So just relax. We'll be fine. We'll get there. Just have to stay healthy. Sewell and Aiden Hutchinson going at it a lot yesterday. 3 reps together. Lomas gave Hutch 2 wins to Sewell's 1. And so far, they're saying the Aidens look dominant all camp long. Keith Cooper, he said, also impressed. He won all 3 of his reps, including 2 against Mahogany. 1 was a terrific tug and pull move to get Mahogany off balance to get by him. This is a move that I love, and I haven't seen it a whole lot with some of our edge guys or even some of our interior D-line. But when you can get a hold of someone's jersey, right, or the shoulder pads, you get up underneath that crease and you can pull them forward. Remember, defense can use their hands on the offensive line versus the offensive line. You can pull them forward and throw them away, right? You control where they're going, right? That's what the offensive line is supposed to do, is control where that defender's going. But the defender, if you can get up underneath, you can throw those guys out of your way. So you pull them, you get them up onto their tippy toes, right? You get them off their anchor, and then you get them off balance and you toss them to the side. That's a huge play. You've seen a veteran move out of Ahmed Hassanin do it during the game. This isn't the first time he's done it. But now you're seeing Keith Cooper doing it. And if these guys utilize this stuff in game, they're going to win a lot of reps. They're going to put themselves in a really good position to cause some havoc on the quarterbacks. This makes me happy that they're utilizing some different strength moves. Not always a spin, not a rip, not a club, not an over-under. It's use power. Just use some power. Nice day for the offense, he says. Head coach Dan Campbell ran a mini scrimmage for the last 45 or so minutes. And the offense ended up winning 12-4 with a touchdown and a couple of field goals versus 2 stops by the defense, awarding 2 points each for each stop. Jared Goff and the first team offense had a nice 8-play drive. To open the period to get kicker Jake Bates in field goal range, we saw David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs in the backfield together. How about them apples? It's about time. We've been waiting for that. We've been talking about it for a while. So finally, these guys are in the backfield together a couple of times in that series, which is fun to watch. Offensive coordinator John Morton can get pretty creative with that personnel grouping. Wide receiver Jameson Williams had a nice touchdown catch on the 3rd series for the starting offense. He got behind safety Kirby Joseph. And Goff put a perfect ball right on him in the end zone. Kick return opportunities. So one of the 4 players returning kicks on Monday in team periods, obviously Khalif Raymond, who has consistently been one of the best punt returners in the league the last few years. Raymond has only returned 3 kickoffs in 4 years in Detroit. That's always perplexed me a little bit, says Tim Twenty, because his speed and the fact that he's so dynamic in the open field, it was good to see him back there on Monday. We'll see where that goes. Bates Day, so Detroit's second-year kicker, missed a couple of field goals in practice on during yesterday's practice. And an extra point wide left during the scrimmage. That's not good. He can't be missing that stuff. Jake he has to be 100% on extra points. There is no excuse for it. That is the easiest kick in the game, barring weather. It is the easiest kick. He has to make those. It's like a free throw shooter, right? You shouldn't miss those. Bates was perfect in the preseason game on Friday, making both of his extra points and a 56-yard field goal. Maybe he just does better under pressure. I don't know. The offense could have really extended their lead over the defense in the scrimmage had Bates added 7 more points to the total. In situational football, Dan Campbell likes to put his players in tough situations throughout practice, and on Monday had the offense trailing 24-21 with 58 seconds left on the clock. Ball was at midfield, 2 timeouts, had an incompletion to Gibbs, and then a short pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown on 2nd down that set up a 3rd and 6 at the 44. Goff had an open tight end in Sam Laporta down the left sideline. on third down, but overshot him a little bit. Then the offense went for it on fourth down, and an incompletion on a throw to Raymond gave the defense a win. That's not good. We got to win those, Jared. We got to win those. Situational play number 2. Kyle Allen took the second team reps on Monday off of his terrific performance against the Falcons in the second preseason game. And he was given a situation where the offense was down 24-21, just like Jared Goff. This time only 28 seconds left on their own 30. Allen is really good completing passes to Jackson Meeks, 2 catches. Shane Zielstra using the sideline to stop the clock, and then mixing in some timeouts along the way. He got Bates in the field goal range, but it ended up being one of his misses to the left. Good job by Allen and the second team offense navigating a tough situation. So that's a little nerve-wracking, right? But again, it's practice. And what I will say is, how many times in the last couple of seasons did you ever feel that when we're driving down the field, that we're not going to do it, that we're not going to score, that we're not going to come up with points? As soon as we crossed the threshold of the 50-yard line, I never had a doubt in my mind. Hardly ever last season. And as soon as we got to the red zone, it was almost a pure lock that we were going to score. We were going to come away with points. Very rarely did we give up points in the red zone. Or I should say that the other way, leave points on the field if we entered the red zone. This year, forget the red zone. We need to start scoring from the 25-yard line. And we're starting to see that. We're starting to see these guys get more involved, go into the end zone early. And I think that is totally going to change the game for us this year. It's also going to change our identity a little bit as a run-first team if we start to throw the ball on first down, which Morton better do. I want to see him do it. First down, you're at the 22, 23, 27, whatever. Take a shot at the end zone. Take a shot 2 plays in a row. Hell, take a shot 3 plays in a row. They're not going to be able to stop you on 4 plays. They're not. It's exactly what I would be doing. 4 shots right at the end zone. And at a minimum, you can come away with 3 points if you need to. I think Jake's sweet spot is right in that 35 to 45 yard line. That's his sweet spot. He doesn't miss anything in that area. Or 35 to 45 yard field goal, excuse me. Jackson Meeks, like I said, he had a good game. He also had a good practice. Catch of the day, the skill position players on offense and members of the back 7 on defense had a 2-on-2 pass coverage drill early in practice. Zielstra made a catch with linebacker Alex Anzalone running step for step with him along the sideline, but Zielstra also made a few nice catches in team periods and is making a good case to be the number 3 tight end on the roster. The issue that I saw, and this has always been Anzalone's Achilles heel, he doesn't turn his damn head around. If you're step for step with a guy, you got 2 options. Either playing hands, and if the guy has extremely late hands, you're going to lose, or you're playing eyes. When those eyes start to turn and they're looking back, that's when you got to start positioning yourself to turn around, right? And if you're playing hands, you just do a jump, plant, step, turn, and turn your body around in the air, and either going to swipe it, you're going to get in the way of the tight end, they're not going to be able to catch it, or you're going to come down with a pick. You just have to be comfortable at doing it. And the great ones do it. The guys that have the best agility out there, that's what they do. That's what they do. Yeah, if Meeks gets cut, he probably wouldn't be able to make the roster. But just remember, it all depends on what we do with IR and all that stuff too. The bad news of the day, Ahmed Hassanin left practice early with a lower left leg injury. He was seen on the sideline, and then he remained in practice. I have not reached out to Corey or anybody like that. I'm not going to do that. I could, but I think that would just be unprofessional. I don't want to put him in a bad situation. You know, our team needs to keep some things some secret too, right? Seeing if there's an update here. He did walk off the practice field under his own power. He was seen on the sideline after the injury, after working with trainers. So really no major injury update. And honestly, it doesn't look like something that doesn't sound like something that could be serious, if that makes sense. Man, I got a lot of videos queued up for today. I doubt we'll get to them all. There were one other thing here. Full injury update. Let's see if I can find it. I had it on my laptop this morning and I don't think I sent it to myself. But there was multiple guys running up Patricia's Hill yesterday working with trainers. It was Malcolm Rodriguez, which is great news. Goodness, who else was it? There was like 3 or 4 guys that were all working off to the side. Let me see. Goodness. I guess I don't have it. I'll see if I can find it before we get done today, but there was multiple guys working off to the side. One of them being Malcolm. That was the biggest one that I wanted to highlight. But here's something else I wanted to highlight. Man, the Lions have been in such a bad position. The injuries have really hit the Lions again this year. And matter of fact, Dan Skipper made a comment yesterday, and I don't have the video. I apologize. But he said, whoever has this voodoo doll on the Lions, like, it's time to pull the pin out. They're feeling it. The Lions are probably a little bit nervous right now. They've had a ton of injuries, and it hasn't stopped. Now, thankfully, some of the ones that the Lions have gone through this year have not been, you know, extremely critical to the starting first and second group, right? Obviously, Morris Norris is the worst one we've experienced so far, but he should be able to come back if that's his choice. But it is so bad, y'all, that it's even affecting this guy. Let me pull this up. I couldn't believe this when I read this. I mean, this is probably one of the most important pieces of the personnel that the Lions have. And he's injured. Almost there. There we go. And his name is Sherman. Sherman he's thankfully he's not on injured reserve, but he's got a busted up Achilles, and he's the bomb sniffing dog for the Detroit Lions. So he's keeping everybody safe, you know, at Allen Park, Ford Field, making sure that nobody's, you know, sneaking in any suspicious packages. But poor Sherman here, you can tell on his back left leg, he's got a booty on. He's got booties to stay cool at camp, but also he's working through an Achilles injury. So Sherman got his treatment yesterday, probably hit the cold tub a little bit, got a nice massage, but he's working his way back. That's how bad it is, y'all. Even the dog is getting in the action here with injuries. Poor Sherman, man. That's like my dog. He's in such bad shape. Gunner's not, he's just not doing well at all. I'm hoping I can make it one more year with him, but that's just me being selfish. And so that stuff pains me, man, just to see when animals are injured like that, because especially, you know, they've been a family member for so long, 13 years. And his back's given out, his leg is given out. He can barely walk. He can't see. But he is the most loving, loyal dog in the world, man. All right, next up, I want to get into an interview here with Dan Campbell and Giovanni Manu. We've got a Kyle Allen breakdown. But first, I think we can sneak Manu in before the break here. Let me get this guy lined up for us. How many of you guys have met Sherman? I've seen him a couple of times. I've never had the chance of petting him. I don't know if they'll allow you to pet him. But I've seen him out there a couple of times. All right, Giovanni Manu really gave some great insight and honestly some self-reflection on where he believes he is at and some of the things that he feels that he has faced. And this is exactly what you want to hear from a second-year guy that you're expecting to really ramp up this year and be a big part of this team moving forward. Given all the injuries that we have faced so far, Giovanni Manu could be needed sooner rather than later. You don't know, right? And I'll tell you, this is exactly what I was hoping to hear from him. And he mentions, well, I'm just going to play it, but he mentions some things that are very specific to his game. Some things I probably wished he wouldn't have said, but he did. All right, let's go to Giovanni Manu and his self-reflection of the day.
I don't really consider that a full game, because, obviously the way it ended, towards the end, one of my teammates, just to see that happen, it was just like, I wasn't even thinking about the game afterwards, so it's kind of just like scrapped out of my mind now. But to be honest, out of like I said, out of 40 plays, I wish I could have 5 or 6 plays back where I could have been better. But that's all I'm gonna say.
Feel like you took a step forward, though?
Yeah, I definitely did feel like I took a step forward. I mean, going into the game, I had no idea whether I was going to be playing the whole game, the second half, or whatever. But the way I prepare is that just be ready to be the next man up. And because we got a couple guys banged up in the room, and I told myself, if I'm going to play, I'm going to just approach this week like I'm going to play the whole game. And Hank told me literally right before he went out that he said, you're going to play the whole game. So, I definitely did feel like I took a step forward. And I'm just looking to keep building off that. So, yeah.
Where did you feel that step forward show up the most? Like, was that in your execution, consistency? Where did it feel like you...
I just feel like my mental game, like knowing my assignments, like knowing where to go, coming off the snap count. Because last year those were simple things where I was like struggling with, right? Because here at this level, we have multiple different cadences. At this level we can flip plays, we can have one play and switch it to a whole nother play mid-cadence, so now it's like those things are just like, okay, we're switching from here to a pass play, boom, boom, boom. Like I know where I'm going, I'm setting here, there. I know where I'm going, I'm gonna set here. Even though I set here, hands may not be perfect, but looking back at it last year, like they might have said kill to this play and I might have went this way. So it's like those things are like I'm noticing that I'm picking up faster on. And just the technique stuff now that I got to clean up, right? Looking back at it, I've watched the game like 10 times probably, and like my hands constantly showed up, like inconsistency on my hands in pass pro, those are just things I got to clean up. So yeah.
As you start to master the mental side of it, it's got to be filling you with more confidence physically, right? To know that you're executing your assignment and you can just go play freely.
Yeah, like my confidence is growing each and every day, even though the hard days on the field here, those are things that I need to experience because, like as a football player, like you need to experience hard days in order to move on to better days, right? And grow. So, you know, like practice sets me up for those games, right? Like no one in this league practices as hard as we do. And so when it comes down to the game, one thing I notice is that, you know, as hard as we practice, and I'll admit it, like I get my ass whooped out here, but then when it comes down to the game, like everything's so slow to me. Right, and like that's one thing me and Hank spoke about at the Chargers game. You know, I was like, man, comparing our speed out here to game level, like, you know, there's a method behind, you know, Dan's psycho, like his brain, right? Like, you know, you sometimes a player, you're like, man, why are we going this hard? And then you get to the game, and then you just realize, like, oh, okay, so this is why we do this. So, yeah.
That's silver lining going against Hutch and Davenport.
Yeah, like, man, like going against those two, like every day, like yeah, Davenport, Hutch, like either or, like those guys keep getting me better each and every day, right? And I'm like a sponge. Like even when I get beat, like I go up to Hutch and I'm like what made you feel like you beat me here? Like what made you feel like you could have took my inside here? And then he'll be like, oh, you're just oversetting, dude. Like just narrow up, like set square, and no things like that. You know, like even they are helping me, and I'm always trying to look for help. So, and even like guys like our O-line room, such a veteran room. Like I'm extremely blessed and I'm grateful for the room that I'm in, you know, because like talking to the vets, you know, not every room in the NFL is like that, where they're willing to take a guy in and be like big brother to him, and that's how I feel. I'm just thankful for all those guys. So, yeah.
You spoke about Hank a couple times, but you look at the competition that you guys, it's like the O-line has been set the last couple years, it's been one of the strong points, but it's super competitive, everybody fighting for spots. How has Hank helped y'all, you know, in this process, and what has the competition done for you guys as well as a unit?
Yeah, you know, like competition in the room, you know, competition brings the best out of us, right? So we're just competing every day. I mean, we're a pretty tight-knit group. You know, no one's like looking to out anyone out. Like no one's trying to like take a job off someone. We're just coming out here and putting our best foot forward, hard work. You know, our O-line room, we're just a blue-collar room, man. Like we're a unit. We just go to work. Each one of us tries our best, and you know, whoever Hank thinks the best five is that comes on Sundays to play, you know, that's who he's gonna go with, you know. But we're all in it together. We're all grinding. You know, yeah, it's competitive, but we're also there to support each other. So. Oh yeah, like that's one thing about these practices, man. It's, you know, like these guys already know my tendencies. Like, you know, I change my stances based on like certain downs, and as soon as they see that, they know like, oh, it's a run, you know. But when I do it in a game, the end's like, oh, what the hell is that? So like it catches them by surprise. So like, yeah, I can't wait to face somebody else than a Lions jersey. So, you know, that's also one thing I love about game days is when we come into these preseason games, it's I'm like, yes, like I get to face a different face, a different person that I've never met, right, that I've never went up against, so it's fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Oh, he's gonna give them work for sure. Yeah, man, he's gonna give them work, and not only just him, but Davenport. Like he's something else. I mean, like just talking about like sheer power, like I've taken bull rushes in my life and like throughout these preseason games, but like his bull rush is just something else. Like, and Decker and other guys could agree. Like it's really hard to stop.
Start with this. Obviously, Mo's back with us. He's doing.
I hate how the video rolls right into something else. That's why I need to record them. So you know exactly where I'm gonna go with this, and it happened at the very end, but. Giovanni Manu last season did not get enough reps as a rookie. He struggled. Coming out of UBC, you know, going up against the type of competition that he faced, this is a whole new world in the NFL. And it's not to say that he didn't have, you know, good production on the, you know, while he was training, but he just didn't get enough game reps, didn't get enough preseason game reps. What did he play last year? Maybe 0 snaps in the game. I don't even remember if he got in or not, but I know he didn't get enough reps in practice, especially during the season. During the season, it's all about install, and it's not so much about getting better. They're trying to clean up things from the game tape, not so much, you know, I mean, you're trying to, you know, suck it in like you're, you know, drinking through a fire hose, you know, when you're Giovanni Manu, but it's a lot of information that it's really hard to take in and then try to get better immediately that week. It's something that was going to take him a couple of seasons. And when he was brought in, of course, you hear the hot air balloons out there just full of hot air saying that, well, why would Brad reach for a guy like this? Why would we waste all these picks, and move up to get a guy that we needed an edge rusher, right? No, we didn't. We needed Giovanni Manu, and you can clearly see why now. He is very unique size-wise, right? 6'8", 350. Very unique mentally. He's very sharp, very smart, very well-spoken, understands what he's doing wrong, and just needs to fix it. There's some things that he said in here that should stand out, though, and it's his self-correction. Gio played the entire preseason game against the Falcons. He had 48 snaps on offense, 3 on special teams. That was his best. It was best game yet. Is the most snaps yet in a game. But he mentions his inconsistency of his hands in pass pro. So hands placement, right? And the hands placement is super important in pass pro to make sure that you can get that leverage, anchor, right? Keep these guys in front of you as you're moving, horizontally or laterally or vertically, whatever way you're going. He also mentioned that is not understanding of the kill. So when the kill is called and they're moving to a different play, you have succession of plays that are installed in the huddle. Play 1, play 2, doubtful play 3. But there's usually 2 plays to every play. And so if he doesn't understand the kill and what direction the play was going in, he was having some difficulty with that. And that's where you would see him look like a fish out of water or lose on a rep to an edge and they get a free run at the quarterback. And what he had mentioned also was he gets sick of battling his own guys because they know his tendencies, right? They know how he sets and they can tell when a run is coming. Now that's bad, in if you get enough game tape on them, you can start to figure out those things. And if you look at the way that toes are pointed, the way that their feet are aligned, that's what a defensive lineman's going to key in on and try to learn what your tendencies are, right? What are you doing on an outside zone run? What are you doing on an inside zone run? What are you doing, in pass pro? How do you set up? If you can make it all look the same, you're winning. That is the hardest thing for an offensive lineman to do, is to make it all look the same. And it's almost impossible. But the best ones out there can do it. And it really starts with Hank Fraley on teaching him how to get his body aligned and how to disguise things. Disguise your set. He mentions he's just straight up getting his ass whooped in practice. His words, not mine. And that's because you're going up against Aiden. You're going up against, Muhammad, who's really slippery. You're going up against Davenport and others. Ahmed Hassanin right now and him were going at it, and they were really getting chippy in the first week of practice. But then he says in the game, things slow down. That's great news. Now, if he was overwhelmed in practice because you're going up against the best, some of the best that the league has to offer, and they've learned your tendencies, so they know what you're doing before you're doing it, it's easy to get beat. But if it slows down in the game and you're having some good progress in the game snaps and the other side is not able to really figure you out or penetrate, beyond you, and you're keeping these guys in front, you're winning. Especially as young as he is and the limited amount of reps he has, this is a great step forward for Giovanni Manu. It's huge. He also mentions he said psycho. I don't think he meant that. He was probably trying to reference his brain and the way that Dan thinks. And Dan's method, he gets it now, right? Dan's method to his madness and why they go so hard in practice. That's great news. But then one of the last things he says, Davenport is different versus all the guys that he has faced and everyone that he's gone up against so far in his life. He brings up Davenport. And he says that his bull rush is something else. And also said that Decker and others would say the same thing. So again, to all you blowhards out there that just don't get it, there's a reason why Davenport is back. The dude is different. I'm telling you, when he stays healthy this year, you're gonna wish you didn't say the words that you said. Because Davenport, I swear to goodness, is gonna be, he's one of the best edge rushers out there at setting an edge, gaining an edge, keeping an edge, and getting into the backfield. So I'm excited to see where that goes. Like, I'm excited to see where Giovanni Manu, his trajectory and where he ends up this year, but also for Davenport. And hearing things like this, it helps, it helps us have a little bit more at peace on this show, that we're delivering the right information, that we've watched enough film, enough tape to understand what the Lions have done and why. And you're hearing it. You're hearing it from guys like Manu. You've heard it from other guys on this team too, just how impactful Davenport is on the other side of the football. He didn't mention Aiden first. He mentioned Davenport. Aiden's probably whooping his butt all the time, but Davenport is something different. Aiden is more speed, right? He's more speed, where Davenport is like all power. He's not known for being fast off the line, but what he's known for is pushing you back into the quarterback without any stop. You can't anchor down on him. Once he gets underneath you, it's over. If you have bad hand placement on Davenport, you're going to lose. It's that simple. He's too big. He's too powerful. Aiden's a little bit different. And part of the reason, I think, is the arms, that he can't get inside and really engage and then get off, get out of the engage if he really needs to. That's why he utilizes the spin move so much, my opinion. And what I've noticed watching all the games so far that I've seen Aiden in. But these two combined, they make up this perfect symmetry of an edge class for this defense. They really do. They both have different qualities. And it's exactly what you want to see on a defense. You want one guy that does something really great. Aiden's great at converting, his speed to power and then into a pass rush move to get to the quarterback. Davenport is great at stopping the run and setting the edge and breaking that pocket and crushing it down, sending the ball the other way, the way that they don't want it to go, which is towards the speed, to Aiden. Combined, these two are going to have a great year. So good stuff, really good stuff here from Giovanni Manu. The thing that I love the most about what I heard is it's the self evaluation, right? He's not shy about calling himself out. I guess I would have liked to have heard him not say as much, right? Like in the beginning where he said, that's all I'm going to say. And he stopped. He didn't say anything that was really telling. And then he kind of just poured it out like, he kind of product puke on himself a little bit. He kind of gave out too much information from my perspective, my opinion. It could be meaningless, right? Because these things can change. Oh, Jack 2125, man, we got a problem there. We got a problem. The question is, how many O linemen are the Lions going to keep this year? And last year, I think we kept 9. I don't have my list in front of me, but I would say that we're going to be close to 10 this year. And the other side of the football, too, I think we're going to be close to 10 on the defensive line. 9 or 10. There was another question that I saw earlier. Someone was asking about Zadarius Smith. My question would be, who the hell said that we signed Zadarius Smith? Who said that? Do I dare say that that was probably said at 7 a.m. this morning? It didn't happen. Zadarius Smith is not signed. Matter of fact, there's been more rumors about him going to Baltimore than Detroit. So keep that in the back of your mind. We'll see where that trends. I still believe, unless there's some major injuries, somewhere around the league, he's not going to be signed until after week 1, if even that soon. All right, let's get into Dan Campbell. We got a video day today. I missed the break. We'll just plow right through it. Now, I can't plow right through it. We got to do it. Have to do it. All right. Today's countdown clock, which will be redone here in just a moment, is brought to you by Pro Sports Zone. Make sure you guys get into the zone, man. All your favorite teams, whether it's the Lions, the Wolverines, the Red Wings, Tigers, you name it, they're all at Pro Sports Zone with the newest, hottest designs in stock each and every day. Lowest prices, always guaranteed. Make sure you mention that you heard this ad from Rockhound. Maybe you'll get yourself a little bit of a discount with only the best service provided by John Yu and his staff. Get into 37700 6 Mile Road in Livonia. 10 to 8, Monday through Saturday, 11 to 6 on Sunday. Get into the zone, get into Pro Sports Zone, man. Get in there and get your Lions gear today. They have all of your jerseys, and you know what? They have all of the autographed memorabilia that you guys would want to. John Yu is always bringing guys in to do signings. And if you can't make it, you can package your item up with a return shipping label and send it to John. Tell him what you're looking for. He'll get it signed when the guys are coming in, and they'll ship it right back. It's as easy as that. You don't have to travel unless you want to meet the player. You can just send your stuff in to get autographed. So they make it really easy for you to get all of your stuff taken care of. Or you can subscribe to the channel today to Rockhound Detroit Lions and get yourself an opportunity at winning a training camp jacket, or we do signed mini helmets. I mean, these things can be worth anywhere from $125 to $250 that you're getting. These aren't small prizes. All right, these aren't small giveaways. And these giveaways happen, unlike other channels that say they're giving away stuff. They never do. They never really do. When we say we're going to give something away, we give it away. Close to $20,000 now given away since this channel started. Not many people would do that, but we do it from a place of love, man. We do it because we're trying to grow a channel into a direction that someday helps the Rockhound Cancer Foundation build enough following that we can help families in Michigan. And every Rockhound channel that we create, that Cancer Foundation funds will stay in that local community. So if it's Rockhound Bears, it stays in Chicago. If it's Rockhound Packers, it stays in Green Bay. If it's Rockhound Vikings, it stays in Minnesota. That's our goal. Right now, it's the Rockhound Cancer Foundation for Rockhound Detroit Lions, and so all of those funds stay in your local community. We've helped plenty of people already. We've done some GoFundMes that have raised considerable amounts of money, and we also donate. I donate $30 some odd a month to various cancer outreach programs. World of Isaac is one of them. Gosh, I can't remember the name of the place that it even goes to right now. The name escapes me, but it was for the benefit of Isaac. So every month we donate to that charity. Nate Lynn looked good. He looked very impressive. Absolutely. Oh, that's right, Trace. You got the Billy Sims OU helmet, man. That's a good one. I even have some signed barbecue sauce by Billy Sims. Now, I never would use the barbecue sauce, but it was signed. And we can get all that stuff. Matter of fact, I should probably reach out to Billy, get him back on the show, and get some things lined up for the season. Oh, let's see what's next. We did Morris Norris. Let's get into Dan Campbell. We did Giovanni Manu. We did our camp update, injury update, and what else did we do? Tim Twentyman's preseason week 1 breakdown. Now let's get into Dan Campbell. This is a good interview. He sat down with, I think it was Brad Golly in this interview. So if you haven't seen it, it's a good time to stick around. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and likes. Can someone give me a like update so I can turn off ads if I need to turn off ads? I don't have it open right now. I need to get my other screen up. All right, slight adjustment here on Dan's picture. We'll get rolling. All right, Dan Campbell interview, man. It's a good interview. It's about 9 minutes long. We're going to stop and start. It's with Brad Golly. And quite honestly, it's about him entering his 5th year, leading the Lions with the lessons that he learned from the 2024 season. It was a 15-2 season, but some costly lessons. And we're going to hear what Dan Campbell has to say all about it and get us pumped up, man, on some more Dan Campbellisms this morning. You can never have enough of Dan Campbellisms. One other thing. So I started last night, and I'm writing a book right now. I've always wanted to do this, and I thought this would be the year that I could probably do it. I know I work 18 plus hours a day, and I'm now going to write a book, but this book is going to help, I think, a lot of people. I've seen a lot of your comments and how inspiring they've been to me and vice versa. So I think it's time that we do it and explain, all of the things that I've battled and gone through and why this channel means so much to me and hopefully to you too. So maybe in the next 6 months it'll be done. We'll see. We'll see. All right, Dan Campbell, here we go.
Is there a bit of an edge to you at all this year with so much written about the coordinators leaving? An edge to you maybe to prove to everybody that you're still the head coach of this team, that you're still at the helm of this for 5 years, and that there shouldn't be concern?
Well, I think, man, it's not hard for me to find things that can drive you. I mean, I feel like that's the world we're in. That's how I was as a player. That's how I am as a coach. Like I'll pull anything negative because it motivates me. So I would be lying if I said no, that doesn't get me going a little bit. That's the next challenge. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
Like, Ben's great, Aaron's great,
no doubt.
But is there part of you that says, I've been here the whole time steering this ship as well?
Well, I think the important thing is, and what I wanted to start this thing off with, and us and the group of people we're with, is, man, it takes a village. And if you want your team to play like a team, then we have to function like a team as coaches, as GM, head coach, ownership, management. And I think that's important. So what we do as a team. And I've said this before, man, if I really did this right, I should be able to just leave and these guys don't miss a beat. I think if you really do your job, that can happen.
Is there a rivalry already starting with Ben, like at the owners' meetings, coaches' meetings at all, where you're tying his shoes under the table, trying to make him too fun of himself?
Double knotting him under there? No, it's good. Actually, I saw him a couple of times in passing, and man, we're good. Relationship's good, but it's no different than anything else. Like when we play each other, look, it's the next game, and we want to win, man. They're in our division, and I want to beat them. We want to beat them. I'm sure they want to beat us, right? There's no secret there, but no, I mean, it doesn't matter who we're playing. We're out for blood.
The last 2 years, it's been this team on the rise. What if the Lions could get there? They're definitely capable. You guys have gotten close, and you're certainly in that upper tier in the NFL. Getting that close the last 2 years. Was this offseason different? Has the lead up to this season and another potential playoff run, has it been different?
I don't think it's different. I think, I've said this before, it's the older your team gets, the more that they don't take for granted these opportunities that you get, or the people that you're around, the players you're around, the coaches you're around. Man, you really want to not take any of that for granted. You want to take hold of it. You want to grasp it and do everything you can to finish it out, man. Let's close out these debts. And so I think just with another year of maturity with our core players, myself, it's business as usual. We're not changing what we do, man. We got to go back to work, which is what training camp's all about, and we got to be ready to go every Sunday.
I try to listen carefully to what you have to say, and I know the message out loud last couple of seasons, it runs through Detroit. And that's what you guys made to come to fruition last year. The road schedule's been talked about a ton for you guys this year. And I listened the first day of camp, you said, we'll go on the road. We'll do it. We'll get into the playoffs, whatever we have to do. I don't know how to ask this the right way because, of course, you'd rather go 17-0 than just squeak in by the skin of your teeth. But is there part of you this year that kind of has a mentality, let's just be grimy, let's be road warriors, battle tested, and just see what happens from there?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, one of the things that, you know, when I look back, you know, I think that the emphasis really needs to stay on winning the division and playing a hell of a lot better week 17 than you do week 1. And if we'll just focus on that, no matter whether it is at home or it's on the road or whatever, then we'll be battle tested and ready to go. And there was a little part of me last year, I'm like, man, did I put such an emphasis on the 1 seed, playing at home, all these things, that it was almost like the set of circumstances, we had a bunch of injuries, that it was like, oh, we took a deep breath. And then, you know, it's like, oh man, we reached one of those goals, but the ultimate goal is the Super Bowl. Yeah. And so, you know, I just, in my own head, that I set us up for failure by the way that I spoke about it. I think about little things like that, whereas, you know what, we didn't lose on the road last year.
Right.
What if we'd have gone on the road? I mean, so it doesn't matter. You play home. Of course I'd love to be home. We all would, man. Playing with our fans, man. Ford Field, it's the best, but you know what? Who cares, man? We'll play at home, we'll play on the road, we'll play in the elements, we'll play in the grass, turf, it doesn't matter, the wind, and every game is different, man. You find a way to win.
I mean, last year was an anomaly too, with the Vikings on your heels.
Yeah.
Okay, quick pause. I know, you guys hate it when I pause Dan Campbell. I hear you, but I don't want to lose sight of this. You know, just like we hear from Giovanni Manu, the self-reflection, right? The self-evaluation, growing as a player, it has ebbs and flows, right? You start off as a rookie and you've just got a fire hose in your mouth or in your face. You know what I mean? Like, you're taking in all this information and it's like, you know, they just unleashed the fire hydrant on you. And that's what it feels like. Same thing for a head coach, a new head coach. Right, he had a small, small piece with the Dolphins as an interim for a little bit that kind of got his feet wet, but he was not responsible really for that team overall. He didn't start off as winning a head coach position. With the Lions, he walked in day one, the head coach of a team that has been nothing but living in futility for decades. And this is one of the hardest teams to turn around. And so what we've seen over the last 4 seasons, or the first 4 seasons, is growth every year. 3-13-1, 9-8. 12-5, 15-2. And we've heard the same story from Dan the whole time about the way he's going to do it, the way he's going to coach it, the way the players are going to respond, the trajectory of the team from week 1 to week 17, that he has no issues finding motivation, even in year 5. And it all goes back to his roots as a player. But now you're hearing that self-reflection from this guy, where Dan Campbell is saying, did I put too much emphasis on the 1 seed and playing at home? Did he set up the Lions for failure? That's big time, right? You're not going to hear coaches admit to that kind of stuff. Now, I know he's throwing it out as a question. He's not saying he did, but he's putting that out there as a question. That is the most growth I have heard yet from Dan Campbell. Out of everything that he does great. And I'm not his evaluator. I'm not his judge, jury, and executioner. I'm a fan that is trying to take things to a different level with media. But this is big for Dan, because what he also said in that same breath was, what if we just went on the road last year? We were undefeated on the road. Of course, we want to play at home, want to play in front of our fans, but we were playing so much better on the road. Now, we didn't score as many points on the road as we did at home, but for whatever reason, we played better. So, I mean, these are all the self-reflection points that he's mulling over as soon as that season ended. Like, what did I do wrong? Let's be real about it, though. Dan didn't do anything wrong, in a sense that he couldn't put more guys on the football field. Right? He couldn't make guys, healthy all of a sudden. There's nothing he could have done about the injuries. He put the best team possible together. The fact that we won like another 8 or 9 games after we lost like 13 guys to IR is insane. And I know I say the I word a lot, but it is insane. The fact that we accomplished that he accomplished that, they accomplished that. And that's why I was so excited when I first started to see that 53-man start to come together after, free agency got rolling, and you're starting to see a lot of the same guys coming back. And I'm like, I get it. I see where Dan is going with this, and it is the right play. I know there's a lot of you that disagreed, but it was the right play. You need to save money. You've got some inexpensive guys that are coming back, some guys that got a ton of experience last year that normally wouldn't have. Their play happened in preseason. They wouldn't have gotten a ton of snaps, but they did. A lot of guys played, more than 60% of the snaps, whereas before maybe they would get 10, 15% tops. And the guys in the practice squad definitely wouldn't have played. And we used everybody on the 53, the 69, and added a whole bunch more. This is major growth from Dan. Let's keep on going here. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Oh, wrong one. There we go.
That's not going to happen every year.
No, it was a unique year. It sure was.
This is a question that a coach never likes to answer. Long-term personal goals. Do you have them? 15, 20 years. Would you like to be that guy? Because this franchise has never had that guy, the statue coach that's got a bronze statue outside of the stadium.
I tell people all the time, and they'll ask me these things, and it's the same as I was as a player. Like, I was never that person. Everybody's, oh man, hey, look out in front of you, reach these goals. I've got a vision for where I want this team to go and what I want it to look like. But for myself, I don't ever do that. Like, I'm like, man, today is today, and just worry about putting your head down and going to work today. And I got that from my dad, man. My dad was that way. He was like, what are you worrying about tomorrow? Yeah. Tomorrow, is so far away. You don't know what's going to happen. You'll be blessed if you even have another day. So you just make the most of the day and go to work and make it the best day you can make it. So I just live my life that way. So I really don't. Man, I just want to win with a group of guys, a group of people in front of a great city and a great group of fans that we can all share in this and make it something special that none of us are going to forget. That's all I want to do.
I'll spin it this way then, and as a follow-up to what you just had to say, which is beautiful, and that sentiment's awesome. How great would it be 20, 25 years from now for yourself, your family to walk through Ford Field and see a courtyard of statues of Panay, Aiden, Goff, St. Brown? Is that more your speed?
That would be the best, man. That would be unbelievable. It's funny you bring it up. It wasn't statues, but when I was at New Orleans, we had up on the indoor, our practice facility, they had all the Saints greats. And it was like this huge poster board. It took up the whole wall. I mean, the whole thing, man. And it's Archie Manning, and Drew Brees was already up there, and he was still playing, by the way. But all the greats, and you know who most of the greats were? Were everybody that was on that Super Bowl team. Because they played a long time. Colston was on there. All these, Jabari, Evans, just a whole group of guys. And because that was such a special time of great players coming together. And that's, whether it's statues or it's that, yes, I want to see that. That would be unbelievable, man. And to have all the core of the foundation of this team, man, all, to be remembered for doing something great, yes.
You're on Instagram all the time, not by your own doing. Holly has revealed to the world the movie going, the normal dad stuff of stuffing the beanbag in the truck, the dogs. You're going to get asked a ton of questions about it by national outlets that come through here. And frankly, they should ask you. It's great. It's humanizing. It's real. But in preparing for this, my whole approach to this changed. When Scotty Scheffler won the British Open, he stepped in front of the microphone, and the first person he thanked was his best friend, he said, his wife. I got to imagine that you don't need to give Holly consent every time she posts things because you have that same bond, that best friend bond. So in 25 years now of marriage, what has Holly meant to you?
Well, she's meant the world. I mean, this is not an easy life. And I think sometimes that doesn't come through because you're seeing the best of the times, right? The best of times, all these great. And man, to be a coach's wife, it's hard. It's hard. And she was a player's wife for a while, but then, you know, coach's wife over this last decade or more. And so she's had to go through a lot of, you know, the ups and downs, the laughter, the tears, the me not being around, and, you know, and so for her to just stay strong, stay with me, be my rock, has been unbelievable. So, you know, I owe her everything, really.
I look back in all the surgeries that you had as a player too.
Oh my God.
She had to be, I'm sure, caretaker number one through so many of those.
She was. She's seen a lot, and I laugh about this. She hates when I tell this because she's like, I did not. But she, you know, I had over 15 surgeries as a player, you know. So by about like surgery 4, I think maybe 5, it was like, you know, and then I'd just get out of the truck, go in there, and then she'd call me when you're done, you know. But it was old hat to her, man. This is like, hey, you just got another oil change, you know. And man, I go home, she takes care of me, you know, and she's the best, you know. She's the best. But yeah, she's had to go through all that stuff.
An oil change. Dan, good luck this season. Thanks for the time.
All right, appreciate it, Brad.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Dan Campbell, man. He's got me crying this morning just because of the last few words, because of it's just how real he is as a human, right? He's like, I know a lot of people say like he's the dad you never had. Well, I would never want a different dad, but I would say he's the uncle I never had. You know, I never really had a lot of uncles around me when I grew up. My dad didn't have any brothers, and my mom did, but one died early, and they all lived other places, and never had uncles around me. So I never got that experience. I have a younger brother, but we grew up 1,000 miles apart, you know, and just the Dan Campbellisms are, I think it's what keeps me going. And the reason why I mentioned the book, and it's something that I wrote in an email to somebody yesterday, is a lot of you know part of my story. You don't know the full story. And when the story comes out, you're going to be like, holy shit. Like he's seen it all. He's been through a lot. Dan Campbell steps to the mic while I'm going through the worst times of my life. And it would just be something he would say that would just be like, damn, life is just not that bad right now. I just need to figure it out, right? I need to keep going. I need to keep pushing. So he's said things that, I mean, for a lot of people, it's affected them in a positive way. For some people, they think it's just gimmicky and kooky and whatever. But as he has turned into the Dan Campbell that we know today, he's never changed. He's still Dan of 2021 here in 2025. It's no different. And that unwavering spirit is what is going to allow this team to take the next step. He just mentioned, kind of be where your feet are. He's not worried about tomorrow. Let's tackle today. I have a hard time believing that he doesn't have some goals out there, whether it's some life goals. I mean, goodness. I mean, if you could trade places with somebody, Dan would have crossed my checklist off a long time ago. Just playing college ball would have been good enough for me. College baseball was great. Semi-pro tryouts was fun. Injuries took my career over. So I get it at a young age. But be where your feet are, man. Manage today. Get through today. You might not even have tomorrow. So be the best you can today. That is something he's been saying for 4 or 5 seasons now. And it's not going to change. And it's exactly why this team is doing what it's doing. How about the statues in 25 years? Man, that was such a great question by Brad Golly. Like, how would you feel if 25 years from now that you walk back into Ford Field or Allen Park, wherever it is, and you see all these statues of all the greats of your team? I mean, think about it. We've gone in between Barry and Kelvin. I don't know where Matthew Stafford's going to rank, But in between Barry and Kelvin, I don't think Ndamukong Suh fits. Like, I don't think he's going to be, one of the greats. He was great, but he wasn't here for a long time either. But when you think of the greats that this team has had, when is the last time we've had a team like we do right now? You're going to have potentially a perennial All-Pro in Sam Laporta, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kirby Joseph, Jared Goff gets slighted every year, Jahmyr Gibbs, and the list goes on. Soon to be Isaac Tesla. Jamison Williams, if he sticks around and strings together a few more seasons, he'll be in that conversation. Penei Sewell right now and Amon-Ra St. Brown have statues in Detroit. They should. You know what the Lions need? They need to do something inside Ford Field. And if they ever get another stadium, or if they somehow buy some buildings adjacent to them and make the stadium bigger, they need to add a hall inside of Ford Field that you can walk through, because Canton screws us over, partly because we haven't really had anybody to go into Canton. But the Hall of Fame Museum is a joke for the Detroit Lions. We literally have like one picture of Barry Sanders stuck behind an end cap somewhere, and that's about it. It is that pathetic. And you've got a couple of busts in the bus room. I think there's 5 in there, maybe. We need something in Ford Field that fans can go through and see. And they should start building it now. That would be a nice change, because when you look at the way that Ford has done things, the way that this team has operated over the last many years, we don't have all the same things like all the other teams do, partly because we didn't have the wins, right? We're having some success right now. Capitalize on it. You've charged us enough in tickets. Go put something in the stadium that fans can enjoy. Make it available outside the stadium that fans can go in and see without having to attend a football game. I think that would be great. And I loved his answer. And then about his wife. I mean, a lot of us have been through a lot in our life, and whether it's your wife or your husband that helped you get through some things, 25 years of marriage, a very tough life, in the NFL. It is not for everybody. I would like to think that I could do it. I probably couldn't. It's really hard to even get through day to day right now with everything that I've gone through. But being his number one caretaker, 15 plus surgeries. And the reason why I started laughing is because he said, well, just had another oil change. It's like, Jesus, Dan, you just had your body cut open, and to you, it's just another oil change. I mean, that's kind of how I feel now with all the surgeries that I've been through. It's just getting tuned up a little bit. But every time it seems like I get a surgery, I get a little bit worse. I don't get better. Dan has done a lot. So the reason why I mentioned the book before I was going to play this is because he has had a profound impact on my day-to-day. Obviously, I can thank Megan a lot for what she has provided and what she has helped me through, as I have for her, right? So I get it. I get the relationship there and how important it is. Yet, as you get older, you may not have 20 friends anymore. You may not have 10. You may only have 3. You may have 1 outside of your relationship. That's not abnormal. A lot of successful people are, like they say, it's lonely at the top, because if you hustle harder, a lot of times you do it alone, because not everybody has the same hustle that you do. Dan's going to take this team to the distance. I can see it. It might be this year. I really thought it was going to be this last year. It might be this year. There was an update in the chat. I don't want to forget to say, but Ahmed Hassanin's father said Ahmed is fine. So that's great news. You heard it here first. There's your update on the injury. Ahmed Hassanin is fine. Now, that doesn't give us a time as to when he'll be back, but I'm glad that you updated us with that. So we'll take you at your word on that, Mr. Mahdi. that Ahmed Hassanin is doing good after the injury that was reported. Next up, we're going to get into one of the other greats. I don't know if I can play that one just yet. Where are we at in time? 9:39. We could probably end the day here. So I guess I can play some other things that I can just trim out later. But first, I want to give you guys the NFC North report. And I only did one team today. I did one team. And that was analyzing the Bears' decision on Caleb Williams. Is this a mistake in the making? Right? So in the world of the NFL, these coaches, these teams have to make decisions. And some can have some far-reaching implications, especially when it comes to rookie quarterbacks, which if you were here a couple of seasons ago, when all of the conversation was happening with Jared Goff, get a rookie and trade Jared Goff, a lot of fans were saying that. I'd like to know where those fans are today and what they're thinking today as Jared Goff just led us through the two best seasons we've ever had. Because in 2022, leading through 2023, it was get rid of Jared Goff, trade him, and his $26 million salary back then. People were trying to say that he wasn't worth $26 million or even $33 million or 50. Tell me 10 other quarterbacks that are better than Jared Goff today. I think that Jared is equal with all of them. I think that they all have their own unique capabilities, and I think they all bring their own unique set of skills to the game. And Jared Goff has his, and it works. And that's the only thing that matters. If you're going to compare person to person, player to player, they're all going to be different. But at the end of the day, do they win football games? That's the most important stat line of all. Do they win football games? Jared is just as good as every other quarterback in the NFL last year that didn't win a Super Bowl. He is just as good as all of those other quarterbacks. The only quarterback that was better than Jared Goff last year was Jalen Hurts because he won a Super Bowl. Statistically speaking, Jared Goff was the best or near the best in almost every metric. But Caleb Williams on the other side, or on the other hand, not so much. There's a hot debate going on right now among analysts, fans, me. Caleb Williams, from day one, I said was going to be a mistake. When I did that season's preview and leading up to the draft, I warned you guys and I told you guys that Caleb Williams was going to be a problem, that he wasn't going to work out. He was a bad decision. Jaden Daniels was the guy to take in that draft. And Jaden proved me right, and so did Caleb. So this year, in the context of Caleb Williams and his growth, where is it going? Right? He's a highly touted prospect. He's been under a microscope since he's been in the league, largely because he put himself there. He gets drafted first overall. He gets his coach fired in the first year because he had a terrible season. Bears made some significant changes to the roster, trying to build a team around him. Now, the decision not to play him in certain preseason games raises some questions as to the strategy behind it and his readiness for the NFL here in just a few short weeks. Do they really believe that Caleb is that ready that he shouldn't be playing in these preseason games? I think if you're going through a Ben Johnson-led offense, you absolutely want to see him out there. Now, Colin Cowherd pointed out that many of the star quarterbacks in this league, including Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, have or will participate in preseason games. Williams has not. It raises the question: are the Bears, decisions to protect Caleb Williams right now is this indicating the lack of confidence in his readiness? Or Cowherd suggested that the absence of joint practices may have influenced this decision in the past. Now, teams have often relied on these, controlled environments to prepare their starters. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. They had a joint practice with the Dolphins this week before the game, right? And Caleb had some work there. Now, the role of these joint practices which is now becoming a staple for many of the teams every year to have at least one. A lot of teams have at least one. Dan likes to have two, is to kind of simulate the game situations, get some full contact reps in there. And the environment can really provide a valuable experience for rookie quarterbacks and the coaches alike to kind of get a feel for each other. It allows them to hone in their skills, and in honing their skills against different defenses, different timing. Now, Colin Cowherd also argued this on his podcast the other day, that joint practices, if they were not a factor, that Williams would likely have seen more playing time in some of these games. And I would agree with that. I think the importance of preseason games is relevant to the team that you have. Where are you in the growth of that team? How built is it, right? How steady has it been in the same or with the same players, your core elements? So the question is, are the Bears setting themselves up for success or failure by not giving him some live game action and only trusting in the process of joint practices? We just saw what Shedeur Sanders did. He lit it up, absolutely lit it up. And that's exactly what we were hoping to see out of him, at least me. I want to see the kid succeed. I did a video on it last night that was partly done during yesterday's morning show, talking about, was this a miss for Brad Holmes in not bringing in Shedeur Sanders because he fell so deep into the draft? And some of the responses were expected. Obviously, I disagreed with those responses, but give the video a shot, watch it, and see what you think and why. And it's not to supplant, Jared Goff. And I don't believe all of the hype surrounding Shedeur Sanders. I don't think he's an entitled prick. I don't think that he, did a lot of things wrong where, he's been said to have been entitled and, kind of uppity going into these meetings. I don't believe it. I just think it was a hit piece. And I think that agents do that kind of stuff to make sure that their guys get drafted ahead of the other guys. But what you're going to see is you're going to see a guy that was now, in a landslide situation in the draft, gets his opportunity in his first preseason, which I understand it's only preseason and it's his first game, looked great. Watch him have the better career. Watch him turn around the Browns franchise. Maybe there's a team that, if the Browns feel like he's not the guy to start this year and they are going to start Joe Flacco, maybe someone's going to want to trade for him. And the Browns, are creating a bidding war opportunity. I would say that's less likely, but there's always that potential. And the reason why I'm throwing all of this in with Caleb Williams is because the Browns at least had the right mindset to get their quarterback some work as a rookie and early to see what he could do. You have to get over, the first part of NFL speed. It happens in game situations. You have to be able to get over that. It usually takes a full season to really acclimate to the game. But experienced veteran quarterbacks, I don't expect them to play in the preseason games. The conversation really emphasizes the experience of quarterbacks like Matthew Stafford, who's going through a back injury right now. He doesn't really need to play, but he does need to have his body ready. But he's going through a back injury, so you don't know if he's going to be able to play. Or Aaron Rodgers, who's been through 20 of these camps and 20 preseasons. Does he really need to play in the preseason? Probably not. He understands the scheme, but he does need to have his body ready. Or Jared Goff, right? He's entering his 10th year. He's seen it all. Does he really need to play? Maybe not. Would it help get the juices flowing a little bit early with new structure, with an offensive scheme? Probably. But I think what Dan has showed us over the last couple of seasons is the team has largely been ready. A couple of slow starts, but largely been ready and have performed pretty well. The difference for Caleb Williams is it's been nothing but a shit show over in Chicago. And Ben Johnson doesn't look good. Caleb Williams does not look good in practice. Now, we've heard some good things coming out of the joint practice, but is it enough? So my only highlight of the NFC North report today is this analyzing of Caleb Williams and the decision not to play him in preseason. Is this going to hurt the Bears, at least in the start this season, or is it going to derail them this year that Caleb Williams is not getting as much opportunity as maybe he needs to kind of get over some of these, these rookie or second year elevations to the game? I think it's important. And I think that what Ben Johnson is doing is not right, which honestly I don't care a whole lot about because it just helps us in week 2. But let me know in the comments below. Do you think the young players, young quarterbacks, regardless of where they are picked, should be getting playing time early? All right, I think we have enough time to sneak one more in. I'm going to save the breakdown of Dan Orlovsky till tomorrow, partly because someone sent me a lot of information over the weekend about Jared Goff and some statistical analysis about success in the NFL based on sack numbers. So I want to kind of blend all of that together. It's going to take me a little bit longer than 30 minutes to throw it together. So I want to do the rest of that tonight. Let's go to Brad Holmes. I'll skip Panay. Let's go to Brad Holmes. This is about a 10-minute interview on ESPN. It's probably going to get flagged. I don't think that they're going to flag it while live, but it'll probably get flagged, and I'll just have to cut it out at the end. So for all of you watching the show today, I'm not ending the show, but thank you for watching. It's great to have you guys all in here this morning. Each and every day we've been having 130 plus people watching the show, and that's great. And we're not even into the season yet. I'm expecting to see a few hundred in here as we get rolling through the season. So if I have to cut the rest of the video out after this, thank you for watching the show. Thank you for joining and subscribing and being the best part of this channel, which is you. The fans of the Detroit Lions, the audience members, the listeners, the members, all of you guys are a big part of what we're doing here, and I can't thank you enough. Let's listen to Brad Holmes, man. How he drafts. Interesting conversation here. Trying to get some deeper information out of Brad Holmes on how he drafts and why. Like I said, it's about a 10-minute interview. And we'll fire it up right now. If they flag it, just let me know in the stream, and then we'll just have to end the day, and I'll have to go back and record it later. All right, here we go.
Holmes, one of the best GMs in football, is here. What's going on?
Doing good. Had a good day today. Had a good week actually. I think we're in a good place heading into Atlanta and preseason number 2.
Do you like a quiet camp? Do you like some excitement? How do you gauge that when there's not a
Well,
lot of
I think
headlines?
it's always excitement
Okay.
at every camp. I don't know, because the thing about it is that we might not have like all these frontline stories going on currently, but we have a lot of depth competition that we're really excited about, and so that is the noise for us.
What did you learn about your team last year?
Last year, I think we have a very resilient football team, and that's what the message has been since day one is, we talk about grit and, persevering through the adversity. And so when we had all those injuries that we had accumulated, I do think that, a lot of those guys stepped up and they did their part, as well as they could. And, and it also, I think it was a more confirmation of what we've been preaching about, the collaboration of everybody working together. So when you say next man up, like scouting department can get a guy, but then the coaches got to get him ready to go really quickly. So I think we showed a resilient group.
Obviously didn't end the way you wanted to, but
Yep.
you mentioned it, next man up. There's a lot of coaches who say next man up, but
I
very
know.
few live it like you
Yep.
guys did last year. And there were some defensive metrics where you guys got better as you lose 2 players a game, then somehow you
Yep.
get better the next week.
Yep.
Explain inside this facility what that was like. We have the stress, pro scouts, hey, let's go out and get this guy. Like, explain what December was like for you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's stressful either way, but honestly, like, you know, I hate the injuries for the players. Like, I hate it for the players from a personnel department, coaching staff. Unfortunately, we know some attrition is coming. We don't know how far the extent is going to be. But actually, man, we got kind of fired up about just being able to kind of roll up our sleeves and do our jobs and like, man, let's just go and find players and try to do the best thing for the position. So, you know, that was kind of the cool element about it.
Stop lying, Brad.
In that position.
As that was happening, who impressed you most? Whether it was a player or a coach, who was like, damn, this guy's doing his job?
Oh, I mean, I think it's all stated. Like, as many injuries that was on defense, you know, I thought Aaron Glenn did an amazing job, just kind of how he kept things together, adjusted to the players that we had. And then we just had a lot of guys just step up, like guys like Pat O'Connor, that's been a veteran, that's been on practice squads for a long time, just ready to go and being able to perform and, you know, keep us in position.
Real quick on that, what are Jets fans getting with Aaron Glenn?
Man, they are getting a fiery guy that's all about the work. He's going to preach physicality. He's going to preach situations. He's going to preach discipline, detail. They definitely got a good one.
Explain something about Dan Campbell that you think is appreciated inside this facility, but is not known, whether that's the media or the fans, just about what he's like on a day-to-day basis.
I think Dan is a pretty open book. You know, he's about as authentic as it gets. So I don't know if it's actually a secret about what it is, but man, he's such open-minded, outside the box thinker. I mean, you know, just what he thinks about, and like he brings stuff up to me all the time. I'm like, man, I didn't even think about that. And it's like, and he's kind of casually just brings it up like, well, it's just an idea. And I'm like, no, that was a damn good idea. Like, you know, so I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I think everybody knows, like, he's a special head coach. And what I always say about him is that which makes him a special head coach is that he's a special human being. And, you know, he's so authentic that those special traits always come out.
3 years ago, I think, you said to me, Jared Goff's not a bridge quarterback. I think there were a lot of people nationally who were rolling their eyes at that back then, 3 or 4 years ago when he first gets here. And then he wasn't. He's a franchise guy, and he's going to be a franchise guy for a long time. If you could take me through the lessons that you think other teams should learn about the quarterback journey from what you guys have done the last couple of years with Jared, what would it be?
I would say patience. You know, Jared, what I've always said is, though, Jared had a lot of early success. And, you know, when you reach the pinnacle of getting to a Super Bowl and then it doesn't go the way that you really want it to go, you know, you're talking about a guy that's 24, 25 years old that has a lot of ability, that has all those other intangible traits with, you know, being smart and the mental toughness and all that. The career is not defined yet. Like, you know, I always said about Jared, man, like, he kind of came in with, he probably had one of the more upsides in terms of growth that he had to do, and he was still growing. So that's why I've always had confidence in him. But I would just preach this: you got to be patient, especially at that position.
Yeah. To that end, you mentioned a couple years ago another great line. You said first year was the HVAC year, then comes the chandelier. Once everything gets built, I'm curious what stage you think this team is in now.
I would say responsibility phase now. You know, we're in a unique position now where I was just saying earlier today at start of practice that, you know, what's becoming harder is the young developmental players that we've always liked. And we were like, since we've been here, we first got here, we had room for all those guys. And so now as the roster's improved and, you know, the contracts has been distributed out, it's become a little bit harder to just keep as many of those guys. So that's really, but you have to do the responsible thing. And it even goes back to free agency. I kind of mentioned that, you know, everybody's like, well, you know, you didn't spend a lot of money and all that. Well, first of all, like, when you spent $16 million on a corner, it's not pocket change, first of all. But I understand what they're saying. You know, everybody wants the activity and the high price names and all that. But we had to practice responsibility, and I think it's the stage right now.
All right, quick hitters. Number one, what do you think called badasses? Most badass person in football you've ever been around?
Most badass person in football I've ever been around. Man, you really put me on the spot, man.
And there's a lot of
Are you
options
saying a
here.
player or a coach?
A player.
Or...
I mean, it could be a coach. If there's a crazy coach I don't know about, I'd love to hear that. But like, with the Rams, Aaron Donald's a popular
I was just
one.
about to say, like, Aaron Donald quickly came to my thought process immediately. He was pure badass, but I would say Penei Sewell comes to mind quickly too.
Yes. Tell me about Sewell. We're about to get him. What makes him special?
Man, it's so much. Like, he's gifted, obviously. Like, he's genetically gifted. He's got athletic ability, but it's just the toughness and the grit and the intelligence and how much he hones his craft. And like, he never is looking for an easy way out. Guys that reach that level and have the big contract, that's when you can start kind of, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to do that. All off season, he's working. He's trying to still get better. And that was a lot like how Aaron Donald was. It's just almost like you almost have this like undrafted mentality.
Yeah,
almost.
That's what Andrew Whitworth said, that Aaron Donald was on this show. When I asked him the same question about badasses, he said he's the only player he saw that every day of his career played like an undrafted free agent, worked out like an undrafted free agent. It's June 3rd. No one cares about anything, and Aaron Donald's in the gym acting like he has to make the team.
And that's often the separator, man. That's often the separator. It's like it's mindset, mentality, those intangible qualities. Everybody's looking for the upside of the physical traits, how big, strong, and highlight plays, and Man, all that stuff doesn't matter if you're not wired right. And so guys like Penei Sewell, we got a lot of other guys on this team too, man. But, Penei Sewell, Aaron Donald, like those guys are just wired a different way.
I love that.
That has the ability and wired that way.
Love that. Another quick one for you. Most impressive newcomer.
Most impressive newcomer. I look. DJ Reed, obviously, he was a big free agent signing, but being around him every day, some guys, we do things a little bit different here. We're used to kind of taking the hard road, and it's all about the work. There's no shortcuts. Everything's earned, and he is actually, some guys have to get adjusted to our culture. This guy was an instant upgrade and add to our culture. So he's been on top, great football player, but just his mindset, his intangible qualities has been impressive.
Last thing for you, we've been asking all the Gs. We do something with players called one rep back. You get to do a play over from your career.
Okay.
With GMs, we ask, what's the scouting report you wish you had back? Whether that's when you were a scout or not. So Gutekunst yesterday gave us Frank Gore. Veach gave us Fred Warner. Puka Nacua actually was Brandon Beane. So what, in your whole career, what's the one I wish I pounded the table for this guy?
I would, the one that I've spoken about most recently is Puka Nacua. That is, as my personnel staff, that's the one that I brought up. That's like, man, like, it's just, it is what it is. But you know what? If you don't recognize those things, if you don't self-assess yourself constantly, you can't grow and you can't get better, So everybody wants to preach, humility and being humble and all that. You got to be honest to be humble. And so you just have to be honest about, if you missed out on something, it's something you could have done a little bit better.
Brad Holmes, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I love the interview. Absolutely did. I think there's some great points in here. I'm also going to highlight later on in a video today and go a little bit deeper with it, probably with both these guys, Dan and Brad. But I just wrote a page of notes just on Brad Holmes here. First and foremost, they begin the conversation talking about Dan Campbell and why, Dan Campbell is such a good fit and why he does things the right way for Detroit, with Detroit, but even in his own life, is because like Brad just said, he's natural, right? He's raw, he's authentic. And whenever you can combine a lot of those good qualities together in a human being, I think that you get the best out of them, right? There's a big difference between somebody that is trying to hide behind something or, is trying to, kind of just cover something up, right? You spill some milk on the floor, you just throw a towel over it and you let it be, versus, man, you get in there and you take care of it, right? You steam clean it, you do everything that you got to do, make it like brand new. If you're constantly trying to cover the shit up, there's something that you don't want people to see. And guys like Dan and Brad are so raw, real, and authentic. They don't care if you see their flaws. They're going to fix it. They're going to accept it. They're going to be the first ones to tell you they screwed up. Right? That's different. Like we always hear coaches come up to the podium, man, it was my fault and I didn't have the guys ready. And, you know, Dan says that stuff too, but he says it a little bit different. He actually says it with ownership of what's going on. And so Brad, same way, just mentioned it at the very end when talking about the scouting report that he wishes that he would have had back on Puka Nacua. And like you said, you know, you wish that you would have recognized those things, but I'm human. I missed it, and I have to accept it, and I have to get better. You know, that's the only way I can get better is by accepting it. You know, that I screwed up. He didn't say screw up, but you know what I mean. Jared Goff, talking about the very beginnings of Jared Goff's career. And someone in the chat also mentioned this too about patience with the quarterback position. You have to have patience, whether that's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is, you have to have patience. I would say that it's probably not going to go past the first contract if it's a rookie, but patience is key. And what happened in LA is Sean McVay, I believe, was on a hot seat because they put together some really good teams. LA spent a lot of money. They drafted a lot of the right players, and they were not winning. And the chances that they had to win, they fumbled. And I think that Sean McVay was on the hot seat. And so, of course, he blamed his quarterback, a very young quarterback. As you heard Brad to say, 24, 25-year-old guy that's in a Super Bowl already. And what was it, his third season in the league? Like, that's really good. And so he's got all this experience, but patience was the key with the quarterback position. Jared was never coming to Detroit as a bridge quarterback. He had a lot of early success that he could rest his hat on, but he was consistently gravitating towards more. He had a lot of ability, as Brad said, at a young age. His career was not defined just because of that one Super Bowl loss, but to Sean McVay, it was. And to Sean McVay, he decided to throw Jared under the bus. And you know what? That was the best thing that could have happened to Jared because he's completely transformed his career in Detroit. He's transformed a city. The fan base is energized, and we're going places and we're winning football games. So thank you, Sean McVay, for not having any humility and for trying to always cover up a pile of shit with a towel because that's what you're doing. Any other players that you'd like to do that with, you just let Brad know. Jared's still growing today. Like Dan said, he's still growing. He's still growing because he has that hunger and that fire in his belly, to continue to get better. The next question is, where is this team in terms of phase? Ladies and gentlemen, I have been talking about this last year. When all of the fans that talk about bringing in these high-priced free agents that we've never done and probably never going to do outside of the corner position, that's a position that I think that you should make in free agency, or a move that you should make in free agency with that position. It's not as expensive as everybody else, but it's also a position that sometimes needs patience to see what that player is going to turn into. But responsibility was such a key term here, because for the last year or so, I'm saying, look, if once we get to this fourth season or fourth draft, and now he's had enough draft picks to really assemble a good team, you're able to keep your core players around, the ones that you've identified. Brad has done an extremely good job at bringing some really good football players in, and they've stuck. Right? Not only have they stuck, but they've become Pro Bowlers, all pros, and some of the best in the league. So now you have this core foundation. And so now you have to start being responsible about the team, which means is you can't overspend. You can't go out and just blow a big wad on a defensive end. It doesn't work like that, especially when you want to keep the guys that you currently have. So the re-signings, the contracts that are coming up, the cap health, the sustainability. He says we don't want activity. Like everyone, fans want all this activity. You want to be mentioned. right? Just like in social media, you want instant gratification. Now. But if you just waited a couple of months, right? If you just dialed it back a little bit, now you might get that real gratification where you're winning a Super Bowl because you were reserved. You made the right decision for the team. You didn't overspend. And because now you can keep the players that you know are going to help this team in the long run. The Penei Sewells, the Aleem McNeils, the Aiden Hutchinsons, the potential of Jamison Williams, the Amon-Ra St. Browns, the up-and-comer and Brian Branch, the re-signing Kirby Joseph, Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta. These are all players the Lions must keep. Signing another guy that's 30 years old at $40 million a year is not the plan. It never was, it never will be. And the teams that are successful have followed that same plan. They followed that same plan. Like William Thomason just said, you know, speaking of blowing a wad, anyone remember Trey Flowers? Yeah. Didn't pan out at all. Did not pan out at all. You're exactly right. Exactly right. We don't want activity. We want sustainability. And then the hooker patients, the Hendon Hooker patients. So I saw the comment in the chat, like, you know, for all the haters out there for Hendon Hooker, you know, patience, right? I think there's a difference in what we're discussing with Hendon Hooker right now. It's not so much the patience. It's that you're at the level with this team, you know, the time with this team that it's go time, right? You have to win now. The door, the window, whatever you want to say is open or closing. I don't so much believe in that. But what I do believe in is the prime of your football players and the prime of a football team. And I would say that the Lions have entered a prime. Jared Goff's in his prime, Penei Sewell's in his prime, Amon-Ra St. Brown's in his prime. Aiden Hutchinson's going to be entering his prime soon. We have a group of football players that are playing really well right now. And so now is the time to capitalize. That doesn't mean spend $40 million on an edge rusher. That's the dumbest thing you could ever do. What it means is retain your guys, but in Hendon Hooker's case, if he can't help us win 3 games, just like I said on some Twitter posts last night, the difference with Hendon Hooker right now and everybody else, Kyle Allen or bringing in another quarterback, is this simple. This season, if Jared Goff bums an ankle, right, rolls an ankle and he's out for 3 weeks, we need a quarterback that can come in and win 2 of those games. Right now, 3 losses, even 2 losses, could be enough to keep us out of the playoffs in the NFC North. It is such a tough division that you need to ensure that the guys behind you can help you win a couple of football games. And right now, Hendon Hooker can't do that. He has not shown the ability or the mental ability yet to even do that. And where he's at, entering year 3, it's time to go. Right? And what I mean by that is it's go time. He needs to play at a different level. And if he's not, it's probably time to move off. And then that's the tricky part of it. If you try to put him on the practice squad, you're probably going to have to give him an injury designation so that nobody takes him if your plan is to try to still work with him. Right? Otherwise, someone will probably pick him up. And maybe they can retool him a little bit and turn him into something different. Who knows? You know how it is. Sometimes there's greener pastures elsewhere, and it just may work out. You know, sometimes you need a reset. He's had a pretty rough go at it. I think that Ben Johnson's offense was really difficult. I mean, it's also Dan Campbell's, but it's a really difficult offense. Coming from Tennessee, he has not had the experience that he's had today in the past in college. He was in a very kooky offense, very unnatural, does not fit an NFL model at all. And his footwork was terrible. We expected for him to come in and need some help. Right? Every quarterback does. Everybody at any job is going to need a little bit of help to get better. But he needed a little extra coming from that funky offense. In the injury, we don't know how much of that is played a role in his lack thereof of kind of getting over these few first hurdles, right? So it's not hate. I don't hate. It's we come from a place of analytics, statistics, measurements, play on the field, and the harsh reality that this team is in win now mode while we have the right players on this team. And that harsh reality means if you're not able to go win us a couple of football games, we can't have patience. If I were the GM, I wouldn't be able to exercise patience in my backup quarterback beyond 3 seasons. I couldn't. I'd have to bring someone in that could win, that at least have confidence that, okay, their footwork is good. They can lead a huddle. They can get the pre-snap reads taken care of. They know how to get, the offense started and get the playoff and make a good decision. His downfield reads are terrible. And his lack of patience in the pocket is what I think is probably his biggest problem. He is too quick to go to his feet. He needs to stay in the pocket and try to extend the play just a little bit longer, just another half a second, and he might find an open receiver. But then he has to trust his arm. He has to trust his eyes. So it's not to say he's not going to be a decent quarterback someday. Is he ready right now to help this team win? And I think the answer is no today. That could change next week. He might have a phenomenal preseason game this week. He might just be working out some cobwebs right now. That can happen. So patience through the preseason, sure. After that, maybe not. The most badass player, he was asked. So Brad Holmes was asked about the most badass player that he's ever been around. And Aaron Donald was talked about, but Penei Sewell. I love what he said about Penei Sewell here. That it's his toughness, it's the honing of the craft, it's never looking for an easy way out. It's always working to get better. And the most important thing, and the title of tonight's video, undrafted mentality. That is something that you can't learn. It is something that you can't teach. It's either you have it or you don't. You want to be the best at what you do. And playing with an undrafted mentality, what that means is these guys put that chip, like Amon-Ra, he put that chip up there. And he was going to do whatever he needed to do to become one of the best receivers in the league. And to prove all of those doubters wrong. To prove himself right. And Penei Sewell knew he was a great tackle entering the NFL. But now he's playing with an undrafted mentality where he consistently wants to get better. There was a game that I saw last year, vivid memory of Penei Sewell's face. It was the Packers game. Yes, it was the Packers game. It was a monsoon. He was coming off the field at halftime, and he was pissed at himself. He was not playing well. But when he went back out into the second half, and actually as he was coming in, I told him, I looked right at him. He looked right at me, and I said, dude, just keep fighting, man. Just keep fighting. Then he put his head down. He walked into the hallway. He comes back out, and he had a way better second half, and the Lions win the football game. You could see when Penei Sewell's upset in game after game, it's because he knows he can play better. And he expects more from himself. And so comparing like an Aaron Donald to a Penei Sewell situation here, you could. Both of those players know that they can be the best at what they do. And they're just going to continue to try to always get better as opposed to just settling for where you're at. Having that same mentality, that mental toughness, which again, it's something that we talk about a lot here. Forget the shoulders down. You know, I guess I really never put 2 and 2 together, but the people that have watched this show religiously, what have I always said? It's the people that have the name, you know, from the neck up, right? It's the intelligence, it's the mindset, it's the mental clarity. Those are the players that are going to make the difference in the NFL. From the shoulders down, everybody has that in the NFL. All of them. They all have, you know, beautiful bodies, in great shape, and they're the best specimens out there. None of it matters. I've said this, where you could be the fastest corner. You could run a 4.25. You could have prototypical size, 6 foot, 195. Good arm length, call it 32.5 inches. Let's just say you're dumb as a box of rocks. You can't figure out the scheme. You make poor decisions. You don't understand geometry. Take bad angles. But you're so damn fast, a team's going to give you a shot, and you're just going to run right out of the play. And you're going to let the ball go from being stopped at a 2-yard gain for a 12-yard gain. It happens all the time. But then you go look at a guy like Brian Branch. I've made this comparison so many times. What does he run? A 4.5, 4.48, something like that? But he's one of the smartest football players on the team. He understands the scheme. He plays with veracity and tenacity and anger and aggression. But he also plays reserved enough to use his intelligence. And he's not the fastest guy on the field, but he's always right there to drop you where that football meets you. So if you do get a chance to catch a football and you catch it for a 3-4 yard gain, you're not getting any yak. He's dropping you right there. That is the difference about, forget height, weight, speed, right? Have a mindset. The mindset is way more important. And being wired right, like Brad said, you got to be wired right. Splash plays don't matter. They don't. It's the plays that you make every single day that benefit the team that do matter. Most impressive newcomer, DJ Reed. This is not a surprise. It's not a surprise. Oh, what I was saying before, I never really put 2 and 2 together. How I've always said it a little bit different than Brad has. He came out this year and said, forget height, weight, speed. It's all about the mental, right? I've said it the same thing, just a different way. It's all about the shoulders up. Everyone has the same body in the NFL. So we're saying the same thing. It's just different. Different way of saying it. But DJ Reed, man, no shortcuts. Everything is earned. DJ was an instant add and an upgrade to the culture. I believe it. And from day one that we listened to DJ Reed speak, I said, wow, like this guy gives you goosebumps a little bit. The way he speaks, he's always been a little bit shorter stature. And he says he fights every day. He fights to prove himself every day. Even though he's one of the best in the league, he's still fighting for relevance because people still doubt him. And when he said that in that press conference, I was like, this dude's going to be perfect. And I doubted him. I'm one of the doubters. And so you know that I have no problem accepting responsibility. I have no problem with that. I doubted DJ Reed because I would have never thought, and I made the mistake, that Brad would bring in a guy that didn't have prototypical size with height, weight, speed. And the reason why he did, because I didn't use my own advice for myself. There's a difference with not taking a guy that has prototypical size or doesn't have prototypical size. Let me rephrase that. There's a difference with not drafting a player because they don't have prototypical size versus bringing in a free agent that doesn't have prototypical size. And the difference is the rookie has not proven himself in the NFL. But the free agent, hopefully the one you're targeting, DJ Reed, has proven himself. Amik Robertson is in that class. He's a little bit shorter. He's proven himself. He plays way bigger than what he is. And so does DJ Reed. So I didn't take my own advice that I've been giving y'all this whole time. I just blew right past it and said, no way we're going to bring in DJ Reed. And then after the fact, it's like, oh yeah, dumbass, you should have listened to yourself, and you definitely should have listened and paid more attention to what Brad was really doing. So I totally missed it. But I'm glad he's here. It is a perfect move. And then lastly, which, you know, we've already spoken about this one a little bit, is the Puka Nacua, the scouting report that you wish you had back. I was hoping he was going to say a different player. I get the Puka Nacua thing. I think a lot of GMs are probably wondering what the hell happened. But the guys that I was hoping he was going to say were like Kobe Turner. That is a guy that he shouldn't have missed on. The other one that I really liked too was Will McDonald, but I think that he went way earlier than a lot of people expected. If my mind is halfway alive today to remember where he was drafted. I thought he was drafted at the end of the first or early second. First round draft pick to the Jets, I believe. Where did he go? Yeah, the Jets. Aaron Glenn has such a bevy of riches over there. And he's only going to make it better. But Will McDonald, he's going to be a good football player. Take a look at his draft profile real quick. 6'4", 239. So a little light. 34 and 7/8 inch arms. So huge arms, good size hands. He was drafted at pick number 15 in 2023 out of Iowa State. Now he's drafted as an edge at 239, and that's a little small, right? It makes me question the weight. He needs to be up closer to 250, 255, at least as an outside rusher or as an outside backer in a 3-4. But 239, I mean, you've kind of seen that weight for someone that's more speed, less power, and definitely in a 3-4 system. I don't think that works in a 4-3. In a 4-3, your guys need to be bigger, one big, one speed. But Kobe Turner, I mean, he's the guy that I had pegged to the Lions in that draft because I thought that he was going to be a great football player, and I was right, but Brad didn't do it. He didn't pull it. He didn't figure out how to bring him in, and maybe he did. Maybe he was trying to. I don't know. We'll never know. We'll never know. So anyway, that's your video on Brad Holmes, and tonight I'll try to go a little bit further. I do plan on doing off the cuff tonight, and hopefully we get a few more subscribers today so we can give away a few more goodies. I'll get some things shipped out probably this afternoon. I've got like 50 things that are going in the mail today, so I might as well put your stuff in there too for all the winners. I still have not received emails from... Well, I guess I got Brent Lighton's and Ornery's address already. But I think I already got Goose. But Nate and John Weldon, just make sure you email mailbag@rockdown.com. I'm pretty positive I already got Goose, and I'm actually fairly positive I got John Weldon, but I didn't see Nate's in there. I'll double check again today. All right. Goosey, I'm pretty positive I got yours, buddy. And Jared Verse was another one for me, Art. But that one was kind of like, we knew. Like, he was a first-round talent. We knew. But I knew that Jared Verse was going to be the guy. Like, he was the guy. But he also fits a 3-4 scheme. Not so much a 4-3 scheme. It doesn't mean that he couldn't have worked out in Detroit. He absolutely could have. But I think he's a perfect, edge rusher in a 3-4 scheme. Jared Verse is special. Like, he's special. He's going to be the guy that got away. And I hope that it doesn't come back to haunt us. The Rams are going to have one of the best defenses this year. Again. So, last 5 minutes here. I know I've gone over. If I've missed your questions or statements in the chat, now's the time. I want to make sure that we do a Q&A every day. Or at least a few times a week. Gripes and Hype. I do a terrible job. I've got to make some recordings. Gripes and Hype mailbag. So the Motor City mailbag, it's called Gripes and Hype, and it literally is what it is. What are your gripes about the team or the players? What is your hype? What are you most hyped about this season? Make sure you get it in. mailbag@rockdown.com. And we're going to highlight that either on Wednesdays during the show or on Thursday nights during Off the Cuff. But make sure you get them in. And if you can get them in before Wednesday, that would help because that helps me prepare the show in advance. The Locket Rocket? What are you talking about, Ornery? The Locket Rocket? For Grant Stewart? And Tesla equals Velcro? Yeah, we should be starting the tailgate this year. That's the goal. Some are going to be better than others. I'm probably going to focus mostly on the afternoon, evening games for the better tailgates. Unless I come down the night before, it's really hard to do a 1 p.m. game tailgate, and I still have to find a spot. I still have to find a good spot, which I should probably go do that. I should probably get my butt to Detroit and go find the spot. So, all right, last questions. A few more minutes here, and then I know we didn't get phone lines open today, but we will tomorrow. Is there anything you want to add to the show? Right now, our lineup every day is, we'll start off with Dan Campbell if he's on at 8 a.m. If he's on at 10, we'll wait. We'll extend the show, or at least I will. Eric sometimes can't stick around. We will starting on time again. Just the last couple of days have been rough. Kickoff segment, like I said, every day it's the presser. And then we'll walk in, to a welcome. Gonna let you know what we're doing. And then we do the training camp connection every day, which is what's going on in camp, obviously. It's a mixture of topics, videos, whatever. Injury updates every day. We'll do at least 3 main NFL headlines. Now that we're into the season, this channel kind of slowly migrates back to mostly Lions stuff, because we can fill 2 to 3 hours now with Lions stuff pretty easy. NFC North report will stick around for the season, so every week we'll give you an update on the 3 other teams in the North and where they're progressing or not. Lions news would be the majority of the last half of the day, or I'm sorry, the middle half of the day, I should call it. 8:30 to 9:30 every day is mostly Lions stuff, guaranteed. NFL news towards the end. Videos of the day, we'll just kind of launch those in anytime. Vanillatron, you guys are crazy. Going to Miami practice, is it open to the public? You need tickets. You won't be able to get in without tickets for any of the practices. The next practice that I'm going to is on the 14th. So in just 2 days. And we still need a nominee for the Warrior of the Day. We do have somebody in Toronto that I'm communicating on the backside with. I am going to send them a jersey. The father has got, oh my goodness. Oh my God. Why is the name escaping me? Oh, Hodgkin's. I think it's non-Hodgkin's lymphoma for the 4th time. So I want to get this individual jersey of choice, and they sent me the information. So that's going to come from the Rockdown family. All of your memberships, all of your donations, and things like that into the channel. That's what, that's where all this stuff goes. It goes into all the giveaways, and it definitely goes into help, families around the Lions community and families rooted in Michigan. So, still need someone at camp, though. I would love to see someone at camp. All right, I guess that's it. I don't see a whole lot of questions or anything. Josh Jackson says, off subject, but I'm glad that we drafted Williams. That was my guy since day one. You can go back and check the chats. I knew and had this guy. I'm sorry, I can't read. I knew and know what this guy is. He's a stud. Everyone is going to love this guy. Josh Jackson, you Ohio State fan? Or did he just kick the crap out of the Wolverines when you watched them? William Thomason, there's no practice today. Is there? Is there joint practice today? I thought they were off today. Could have sworn they were off today. And that's why we didn't see a Dan Campbell presser to start the day. So, yeah, today is the 12th. There's definitely no tickets for today, if there is a practice. Tomorrow begins the joint practice at 10:30 a.m. And then August 14th, I'll be at that one. Begins at 10:30 in the morning. So we will not be having a show on the 14th unless Eric wants to figure out how to do it. Otherwise, it'll just be off that day. And then I'll be on that evening. And then I think Eric's going to the 21st. I won't be going to that practice. So I don't think they have practice today. I think they're off. All right, well, that's it. No more dead air for today. We'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning. And we should have a presser with Dan Campbell at 10 a.m. tomorrow, I believe, unless they're going to move it up a little bit if he's got other, meetings and that before practice gets kicked off. But if it is at 10, we'll stay on until after 10 to go through the presser. And yeah, so yeah, Jackson, Tyleek Williams, man, he's the right guy. And there's a reason he was my number one guy. He was my number one pick. And I'm glad that we got him. I'm glad that it all worked out. I think that all of those fans that just love nothing but edge, they're never going to give Tyleek Williams the benefit of the doubt. No matter how good he plays, they're never going to give this kid the benefit of the doubt. And that's a shame. Because Tyleek Williams is going to do things that are going to allow this team to win and allow the guys around him to win. He may not even show up in the stat lines often. And there's nothing wrong with that, because if you don't know how to watch film, then you're not going to know what he did, to help others. And now that we're back into the season, we'll start doing NFL film room again. For whatever reason, NFL Pro has not been doing preseason games. So I can't go in and cut up tape or do tape live with you guys until the season starts. But once the season starts, we'll do some more film room. I just don't have time to go watch all the games and cut things up. I need someone to join the team that wants to do that. So if you're good with editing and you want to cut up tape, feel free to email me, mailbag@rockdown.com, and let's get you on the team to help do film room. So, all right, we'll see you guys back here tomorrow, and we'll get after it. So go on Pride, go Detroit Lions, man. You guys have a wonderful day. As always, Go Lions.